Hello, this is Michelle Hurtado again. This is my second video. Yesterday I sent out a video promoting the new movie, The Promise, that is scheduled to come out this Friday, April the 21st, and promised that I would speak a little bit more about my family on my mother's side. As I mentioned, I'm Spanish on my father's side, but I'm the survivor or the descendant, not survivor, of a survivor of the Armenian genocide of 1915. My grandmother was born in Syria, near Damascus. Her family managed a winery in a monastery near there. Her father died when she was an infant. In 1915, she was about 14 or 15. She doesn't really know because there was no records that were provided or saved. So when she came to this country, she declared September 1st, 1900 as a birthday. But basically what happened in late April of 1915, the Turkish army came through. Her two brothers were separated. She never saw them again. Her mother and her sister, along with other Armenians, were marched into the Syrian desert, where many of them died. There were forays in which there were massacres along the way. My grandmother reports that she buried her mother and her sister, in the sands of Syria, the Syrian desert. There are two stories, different stories, that are connected to what happened. In one story, she was in the desert praying for death, presumably dead bodies surrounding her, and she saw in the distance what looked like angels moving toward her, and she thought that they were angels to take her to her family. They were in fact actually nuns who were looking through among the dead bodies, saw my grandmother and took her in. The other story that I recently heard from a cousin who says that our grandmother told him this story is that she was trying to get away from the soldiers. She was in some town somewhere. She knocked on the door of a woman and asked to be protected because the soldiers, I guess, were going on a rampage, killing Armenians, and the woman told her to go underneath a table where there was a tablecloth. She did. The soldiers came to the door, knock, knock, knock. Do you have any Armenians? She said no. And then my grandmother stirred underneath the table so that the tablecloth kind of stirred. And the soldiers said, what's that? And the woman said, that's my little dog. And they said, okay, and left. And I gathered that is the family I referred to, a Turkish family yesterday, that harbored and saved her. Basically, after the war, a neighbor of theirs, a young Armenian man who'd come to the United States in 1913, had left to come back and join the French army to fight the Turks, came back and met my grandmother, married her. I don't know if it was a love match or an arranged marriage, but brought her to the United States, where my mother was born, in Flint, Michigan. I'm going to tell a little bit about my mother and then stop here, but the story is that my mother, who was born on June 29th, 1923, was brought into the world by a midwife. She was my grandparents' second daughter, and my grandma had thought of a name, and the midwife's daughter, who was there, said, well, why didn't you name her Liberty? It was about 5 days before the 4th of July. And my grandmother thought, yes, that's a good name. So my mother's name was Liberty. I think very fitting. Or Libby for short. I could go into my mother. She joined the Marine Corps during World War II, served in the Marine Corps very proudly and honorably, and died at the age of 83. And about 2 weeks before Veterans Day, we did her memorial service on Veterans Day. My grandmother lived to be a ripe old age of around 94. Again, we don't know because we don't have the original records, but she lived a long life full of love of her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. I do want to say again, for those of you who have not heard about The Promise, which is a movie about the Armenian genocide, please do go see it. Please have your friends, family, colleagues see it. It opens April the 21st, and it's a story that needs to be told. Whatever you may think of the movie in terms of the quality, I haven't seen it, so I can't really judge. It is a story that needs to be told, and cinematically, it hasn't been allowed to be told. I ask all of you to please see it, and thank you for indulging me again. Blessings to you.